So this is my start to a 3D printed lamp business. I thought it would take 3 weeks to start from zero, start designing something and sell it, but it took 3 months. A mental breakdown, a trip to Mexico, and a whole lot more headache to even get started. Here's everything that went wrong, but how I eventually got things to go right. But for me to tell this story correctly, I have to rewind to the beginning. Back then, I was helping Cindy with a bunch of her markets, and I thought, wait, this is actually kind of fun. You know, interacting with people, selling stuff. It was something that I could see myself doing. After going to some markets where I saw 3D printers myself, made friends with them, I also saw people like Wooj, Sonogo Designs, Terra Design. They do lamps as well, and I thought, maybe I could put myself out there. That's when I was like, you know what? I think I can do it. Let's try making something. So that's how we started off thinking this was a good idea.
If you're a creative like me, you've probably hit that wall where every idea starts feeling the same, or even worse, your brain just blanks.
Hey, my name is Jackie. I'm a videographer photographer that recently fell in love with 3D printing and product design. If you liked any of the things that I said, maybe follow along because you'll like what I do. Back to the video with the brain blanking that I talked about. A lot of people call this the creative block, or just the block. Comes in 3 forms, right? It could be a burnout, it could be repeating the same thing over and over again in terms of design or whatnot, and it could just be being stuck in the same environment every day and just gradually losing inspiration. But the common denominator that everyone talks about in terms of getting out of this block is shifting your environment and changing things up so then you feel maybe more inspired or whatnot. And that's kind of how I ended up in it. But I actually had a goal to this trip. It isn't just a vacation. I tried to find inspiration where I could in terms of the design language of the city, the products that they have, everything around Mexico, and trying to find some inspiration there.
Before I dive in, I want to talk about what finding inspiration really means. Right now, we're in an art fair in Mexico. This is kind of spontaneous. I wrote a script down beforehand, but this is just going off of the script. So if this is ass, whoops. I think finding inspiration looks different for everyone. For me, it starts with noticing the small things. In my time doing 3D printing, I started paying a lot more attention to, say, street lamps, details about chairs or TVs, different products. When learning more about industrial design, I realized that every city, every place has its own design language. In New York, it's things like yellow cabs, street signs, brownstones, halal carts. Just hearing that, you can picture the city, right? Now let's flip it. Neon signs, red taxis, Toyota Alphard, street food stalls, overpasses, things like that immediately remind you of Hong Kong. My point is, every city, every place has its own icons, like the Statue of Liberty, LKF, Tokyo Tower, whatever, that makes it iconic in many ways, yes, but also it's unique, comes from design and architecture and products that mostly go unnoticed in the day-to-day. In Mexico City, my goal is to find something that locals would recognize as something a part of their everyday identity or DNA, authentic textures, shapes, signage, even infrastructure quirks that makes this place, well, unique in this place. So yeah, let's go. Cool. Okay.
All right, I am back in New York City. I've had a couple days to decompress and I have a couple thoughts. First things first, color. I think color is super important to Mexico City. Whenever we went, I guess everywhere, there was color. From the green plants just along the streets or the buildings being painted in like red, blue, or whatever. Red is super important. There's like red everywhere. So
I think color is very important and it just makes everything a little more vibrant, a little more fun. The second thing, I love their ancient art or design. We went to the Museum of Anthropology and it was such an amazing visit. I got really interested in their ancient, I guess, Mayan design, where everything kind of just fits in cubes, in blocks. They're just squares, and then it has super elaborate designs on them, like a dragon or a bird or a person, but it looked really good in that cube for nowadays and how I like to make my stuff as well, like in terms of language of design. I think that really worked well for me. The third thing I would say is customer experience and like the journey for the customer. We went to a couple local shops like Sinu Perfumes, where I guess it's their local perfume house. Their shop was almost like a museum. It was super beautiful the way that they laid it out and let people or their customers really experience how their perfumes came about in their journey. The entrance is like kind of like a museum where they showed like different textures, and then you go through this large like black corridor where they bring you up, and there's just nothing but smells and kind of like bring you through the different scents as you go up the stairs, and then you reach the main area where they have all the perfumes lined out, then all the ingredients, and then how they came about as well. It was just really cool to experience that in that way, in that order. I always knew customer experience was important, but I guess highlighting customer journey and how they discover or use that product and begin to know how to use it is really important. And one more thing is light boxes. They had a bunch of light boxes everywhere that we went, like from taco stands and whatnot. It was just really cool to see it. It kind of reminded me of old Hong Kong, where you had all these neon signs everywhere. Of course, they're not neon signs, at least I don't think they are. They're like LED probably, but it was cool to see nonetheless. And yeah, I think after coming back, I felt super inspired in terms of making things and like how we can integrate those things together to make something new or something that I would find useful in whatever I'm trying to make. But let's just see how we can mesh my ideas and those things that I have been inspired by in Mexico together. Okay, let's get started. So, what did I first try to make? Well, I try to make light boxes. I wanted to make these like mini light boxes, which I thought would be cool to people if there were words on them. I had two ideas. The first was just a focus like this. So it just say focus. And I bought like a puck lamp so it would kind of just light up in the middle. So if you imagine it had like 4 sides and it'd sit on your table, it'd look really cute. The second idea I had was, again, focus, but with a little more design. The reason why I didn't go with this was kind of 2 things. Trying to make this into a cube with the words on top, you kind of have to separate this panel with the words with the rest of the box. And putting that together was really hard. I tried to kind of taper the sides so it would be seamless when you stuck it together. But with the layer lines, I'm not really sure why. It didn't look right. And even when I brimmed it, it wouldn't print as flat as I wanted to. I think there's a lot of margin for error, so I thought it just wasn't really a great idea. And with the one with the more words, I think because it's so small and I'm printing with a 0.4 millimeter nozzle, the text just kind of disappears. It was a cool idea, it just wasn't inspired by what I was looking at, and at the time I really wanted something that, reflected my time in Mexico, or at least somewhat reflected that. Instead of having words on there, I thought, maybe we could do patterns, kind of be like a mood lighting that you would put on your wall. And this is when I first explored vase mode. I didn't really know what it did at the time. I thought it was just like, oh, well, make it a little thinner, or I saw it was like, it'll become seamless. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Let me try it. I tried it on the base, and holy crap, this was bad. So just to give you an idea of what I was trying to go for, this is what I was going for. This is kind of like the base that I wanted, where there's more of a bass feeling, so you can kind of tell that here. There's like a USB hole, and this is all solid. This is solid, and then it starts becoming emptier up here, where it's kind of thinner. And then there's some support places. There's a place to put a puck lamp or a puck light, and this was how I envisioned it.
But with Vase mode, I didn't know it'd print everything in one layer, and it just it like fell apart. But we tried printing like a front panel here, a front panel. But the main problem with it is, and I'm not sure you can see this on camera or not, but you can kind of see the layer lines. They are pretty far apart, and sometimes there's like holes in it in where the lines are supposed to be. Once I actually printed it and like thought about putting it on my wall, I'm like, nah, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't put it on my wall. So yeah, this was kind of just a non-idea. I felt like I was trying too hard to copy what I saw in Mexico with the intent of, hey, this would be cool, but really it wasn't there. You know what's funny, post-trip, at first I thought I was super inspired by what I saw in Mexico, and I had a lot of inspiration going into this newfound project and this newfound love for Mexican design and whatnot. But honestly, I felt really unsure. It felt like everything I was trying to do was so forced that I was slowly feeling uninspired again. It was like a loop where I felt inspired with what I saw in Mexico. I would design something which would also look like a copy of something that I looked at in Mexico, and then feel like it's not mine and try to look for something else. So this cycle would just keep repeating, kind of similar to what I experienced without going to Mexico. And that was until I broke down the elements of what I thought I felt inspired by in Mexico, in Pinterest, and the things that I looked at, break it down into fundamentals of what makes that design stand out or what makes those elements stand out. So going back to basics, what stuck with me in Mexico? Well, the first thing was color. I did talk about this, where color was something that was hugely used there, not so much used in New York. It was bold, it was vibrant, the city was fun, and it felt alive. I think most of it due to the amount of color that you're seeing. The second thing was geometry. Even though I don't really feel like the totems would fit my aesthetic, I really did like how it was just really aesthetic and really pleasing to look at because it fits so well in this geometric shape. Very bold, big, and I really like that aesthetic. And the third thing that I like in general, and also what I saw in Mexico, was repetition. They use a lot of repeating elements in their designs, whether it's from their ancient stuff, you know, the blocks and the shapes that they use, the designs that they kind of stick to. I think that was really prevalent in Mexico City when I was there, and something that I noticed. So I started designing again. Not copying anyone's design, but more so taking the fundamentals of what I just said and trying to see how I could fit what I like into that and making it a lamp. But after a really long time, I got this. Oh, it's too bright. Shit. Hold on. Looks like this. I am really proud of this design. How it works is this is the lamp box that I designed. Basically are stacked kind of cubes on top of each other with the edges, or I guess you can call them edges, yeah. The edges kind of sticking out like that, so they kind of form cross sections, and then I made it, I filleted it, so then you have these kind of nice diamond shapes coming out of it. The top are these sort of square holes, or I guess filleted squared holes, so they're rounded holes, just to let the light pass through, and it looks cool. And then the bottom, there's enough space for a little puck lamp. I kind of wanted this base to disappear because it's all about this. I made it so the lamp sinks into the base where there's little grooves in the base, as you can see here. So those little grooves will kind of sit the lamp in. You kind of just align it to the grooves. It should align in any orientation, and it snaps right in. And then ideally it wouldn't come out. It would just kind of stay on because of the fit that I have it. I put some non-sliding little rubber knobs, so it's stable. And yeah, I think it's super cool, to be honest. I actually can't believe I had this design. It was such a challenge. I didn't think I would be able to make something like this because I'm sure you 3D printers know the hardest part about doing like this sort of design is getting the layer lines that need support to look right, like these sort of horizontal lines when you're printing them to look good in this sense, because a lot of times if they're floating, they'll look like shit. The top layer and the supported layer are supposed to look basically identical or feel identical to the point where you won't question it, because I've had prints where it's very questionable. So this is what it is, and it's super cool, I think. I posted this on Instagram previously and asked me, hey, does it overheat or whatever? No, I mean, there's no melting or anything. I've tested this thoroughly at this point. I've had it for, I think about a week now, and there was one time where I just turned it on the whole day just to see what would happen with the plastic. This is just PLA, and it didn't melt. It was just fine. So yeah. This is really cool, in my opinion. I'm really proud of this. But yeah, there you have it. If there's any takeaway from this, the first thing I would say is it's never as easy as it looks. When I met my friends on the art fairs, to be honest, when I saw their 3D prints, I was like, I can do that. I can try that and also sell it. And it's so hard to make something that I think you yourself is proud of and think can be sold to a quality that other people would like. You know, there's a lot of considerations that go into it and a lot of brainstorming, because to be honest, a lot of things are done already. You know, to make something original or something that is unique or I guess personal is really difficult, I think, these days. So if that's someone like you, props to you, because that's really hard. Like, supposedly this was supposed to take 3 weeks. I thought I was gonna have this video done last month and then out and be okay with it. But it took a really long time to really find something that I like. So it's been taking a long time. But I think in the end, I'm super proud of what I made. So it's all worth it to a degree. And the second thing is the path to, I guess, success in this case is really messy. But sometimes that's okay. I think from the start of everything, seeing Wooj, seeing Sunogo lamps, and from there helping Cindy with markets, meeting EndoExo and Ritz Design, going to Mexico and actively noticing design details or little details and aesthetics about Mexico City. It was all a mess. You know, even when I came back, it was a mess. I wasn't sure if I was inspired, if I was just doing the same thing, it was redundant. I wasn't sure. And it all felt like a blur. But sometimes by sitting inside the discomfort and I guess staying frustrated, something boils out of that. Over time, things become more clear, but you just have to sit in it. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you at least found it entertaining and informative maybe. If you've watched my videos before, thank you so much for watching. If you're new here, thank you so much. I'd really appreciate it if you can like, comment, and share this video to more people. It really helps me and really helps this channel. But yeah, I hope the next video won't be this frustrating. I'll see you next time. Bye.